Good evening, everybody. It's Wednesday, November 13th, 2019, and Brian Van Rossen lost his fantasy football matchup again this past weekend. So you know what that means. It's time for another episode of Franco Invented the Internet Fantasy Football. It was recently brought to my attention that each time Brian has won, I haven't put out a video. So, Brian went and cried to his one and only true love, Danny, this past week. But, I'm sorry, Brian. It wasn't intentional, even though I wish it was. So, congrats on your 2 wins this season, buddy. I hope that gives you enough hope to want to play again next year and donate another $100. This week, we're not going to dive too deep into the matchups, but rather look at the bigger playoff picture. All of the 4 and 5 teams last week were not matched up against each other, so that gave some potential for some big moves. But nothing really happened. Amy, Danny, Rick, and Ben all won, while TJ lost to yours truly, the Strawberry Seahorses. And we'll go ahead and mention that Ben defeated Sean, so Sean has lost to both Ben and TJ this season. Not a good look for the first place team in the league, but it's okay. At least you're not like Matt or Brett or anybody who's lost to Brian yet. So, speaking of Brian, we'll start down here at the bottom. They have known it for a while, but I can officially deem Chalupa Batman, LOL Clinton Dix, and Without a Paddle as eliminated from the playoff contention. Brett, even though your team's losing, please make sure to start a full team. You kind of gave Walk a free win last week. Not that it mattered for most of the season when he started all your players anyways, but please just show a little bit of pride. Still on the bubble, Saquon's Nuts falling back 1 game in the playoff hunt, now with a record of 4 and 6. This week's matchup of sister versus sister is more important than ever, with SDN slightly favored over Team Johnson, who is one of our 4 teams tied at 5 and 5 and trying to sneak into the top 6. The other 3 teams still in the hunt for the last 2 spots are Turned Down for Watson, who should win easily over Chalupa Batman, if history has anything to say about it. Get Rick back on roids has one of his toughest matchups of the season, taking on Let's Get Physical, who finally has all of his players back from buys. And currently sitting at the bottom of the 5 and 5 teams, Shake 'em Bakers is taking on LOL Clinton Dix. This is a rivalry that goes all the way back to the days of Halo montages. But right now, Ben and Amy do have the easier roads this week to separate from the pack. Adam, Hasta La Vista, has been on a bit of a skid, and I'm not just talking about his underwear. Losing 2 in a row, but he still holds on to 4th place. I am now alone in the 3rd place spot, slowly creeping up, kind of like Adam and Sean's cholesterol levels, because they're old. Walker continues to win games and is tied for 1st, but sitting in 2nd based on points scored. Handed a win last week from Brett, not starting a couple players, but we'll give Brett the benefit of the doubt. Maybe he was too busy navigating dangerous waters, or maybe he was too busy giving himself a mere motivational speech while wearing tighty-whities with the fantasy belt over his shoulder. Oh man. Now Rick is probably masturbating. And then, been there all year, but Sean is holding on to that number 1 spot. It is predicted to stay there. Danny has a chance to be the biggest upset win of the season to keep his hopes alive and get Sean closer to being out of that 1st round bye. So, 3 weeks left, ladies and gents. If you haven't been preparing for this moment, then don't start now. You don't want to be the last 3 teams to join Brian, Brett, and Matt in the loser bracket and ultimately be the one to have to go through a tandem leg wax with TJ, where both of you sit face to face with legs intertwined and yank hot wax strips from each other's pale legs. God damn it. Rick's masturbating again. Anyways, sorry I didn't get a bid up last week, or at least a side bet last week. I will give Brian credit once again. For 2 weeks ago, he did win the side bet because he was the only one that entered. So, congratulations, dude. That's 3 wins this season. But this week's side bet will be a little different. Kind of the same, but we all get to guess Brian's score this week. Closest 2 wins, regardless of Price is Right rules or anything like that. So, whoever's closest wins, even if you go over or if you're under. Then the tie break goes to individual team win, then individual team score. So, set your lineups. There are a lot of people without full teams right now. Still the last week of the season with a bye, so pay attention. Get everybody in. And good luck, fellas. And Amy. And Matt. Commish out.